Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton. Man, what a Tuesday it is. A reaction Tuesday, as a matter of fact, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're going to react.
We're going to react to quite a bit.
A lot.
to quite a bit. We also got some previewing to do, so that's exciting. All of last night's big games, college football. But, hey, Preds and Grizzlies get it done, so big news there. All kinds of great stuff did happen last night, despite the one thing we were all looking forward to being a dud. So we'll get into all of that and much more.
It's kind of ironic that Georgia was involved in that game because it was one great big woof.
Yeah. You just go, ooh, man, that's unfortunate.
Did not see that coming.
No, we all picked TCU because we're all idiots. It is what it is. We do have a great show lined up for you. Kevin Ingram, Vanderbilt Radio, is going to join us in just a few minutes to talk about tonight's big tilt against the Tennessee Volunteers out in Knox Vegas, baby. Should be a good one. Should be fun. If you're a Tennessee fan, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We've also got Top 5 Tuesday. It's Top 5 Draft Day with chocolate. Just chocolate. Anything that's chocolate. So should be fun. We'll draft chocolate things today.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. It will be, in fact. And obviously, Todd Downing and his
our long national nightmare has ended.
The long national nightmare has ended. All of that is on tap here shortly. But before we get to anything else, Mo, we should probably let folks know what's going to be happening tonight in the event that they are finding themselves in need of some live sports fix. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of it to go around here in the mid-state, so we'll get you yesterday's results and today's schedule on The Rundown.
Here's The Rundown.
In girls basketball action on Monday night, Dixon County defeated McEwen 50-30. It was Murfreesboro Central with a 62-49 win over Forest. Marshall County defeated Mount Pleasant 58-13. It was Portland 34, White House Heritage 27. Spring Hill doubled up Giles County and then some 48-23. Westmoreland with a 58-17 win over Trousdale County. In boys action, It was Murfreesboro Central defeating Forest 65-29. White House Heritage with a 40-36 win over Portland. Clarksville Northwest defeated Republic 74-59. It was Giles County edging Spring Hill 51-48. Westmoreland with a 65-48 win over Trousdale County. In professional basketball, the Memphis Grizzlies stayed hot with a 121.
That's just 7 in a row. For
Just
those who didn't
7.
know. Just
Okay.
7 in a row.
Okay, so they stayed hot with a 121-113 win over Greg Popovich's San Antonio Spurs. Speaking of staying hot, Predators 3, Senators nothing. What's that, 4 of their last 5? No, 4 straight, 5 of their last 6. There we go. And in the
Staying hot.
oh, they were hot, all right. In the college football playoff championship game, no contest. Bulldogs make it 2 in a row with a 65-7 thrashing of Texas Christian. I will not refer to them as TCU anymore.
They're the chubby dragons until otherwise noted.
Yes.
Tonight's action doubleheader on the hardwood. Station Camp at Beach Blackman hosting Rockville. Summit goes to Brentwood. Antioch at Cane Ridge. All these at 6 o'clock starts with the girls first. I apologize. Ravenwood's at Centennial. Sycamore goes to Cheatham County. Clarksville hosting West Creek, and Clarksville Northwest hosting Clarksville Northeast. So that should be a big one. Battleground Academy will be down here in Columbia. Take on the Bulldogs of Columbia Academy. Friendship Christians at Davidson Academy, and Donaldson Christian hosts Mount Juliet Christian. Watertown goes to DeKalb County, and Cascade is at Eagleville. Joe Burns is at East Robertson, another big one there. Pope Prep is at Ensworth. Ezo Harding hosting Goodpasture. Franklin Christian's at FC Boyd, and Father Ryan hosting Brentwood Academy. Lancaster Christian is at Franklin Classical, and Webb School goes to Franklin Road Academy. Glencliff at home against John Overton.
Also at 6 o'clock, also doubleheader, also girls first. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Franklin Grace. Liberty Creek is at Greenbrier. Cookville is at Green Hill. Harpeth hosts Fairview. Hendersonville takes on visiting McGavock. Valor Collegiate goes to Hillwood. Murfreesboro Central is at Hume Fogg. Gallatin goes to Hunters Lane. Independence hosts Shelbyville. East Nashville is at Kip Nashville. Lawrence County takes on visiting Page. Cross County rivalry, Lebanon meets visiting Wilson Central. Mount Pleasant goes to Lewis County. Summertown is at Loretto. Always fun at the barn. Yep. Creekwood is at Montgomery Central. Clarksville Academy goes to Nashville Christian. Nolansville hosts Franklin. Porthouse hosts Portland hosts White House. Collinwood travels to Richland, and Hampshire is at Santa Fe.
At 6 o'clock, continued with girls action on a doubleheader. It's Oakland at Siegel, Rossview at Springfield, STEM Academy hosting Merrill Hyde, Laverne's at Stewart's Creek, Stratford at home against Pearl Cone, Knowledge Academies is at Charleston County, Tullahoma takes on Spring Hill at home. It's a Providence Christian at USN, Culleoka goes to Wayne County, Tennessee Heat is at the Western Kentucky Homeschool, Lead Academies at Whites Creek, and Zion Christian hosting Dixon Academy. Girls only action. CPA has a doubleheader tonight. The girls will face Harpeth Hall. The boys will face Montgomery Bell Academy. That's a good way to do that. Mm-hmm. Lipscomb Academy is at St. Cecilia in girls action at 6 o'clock tonight, and at 6:30 in boys action, Curry Ingram is at Hendersonville Christian. Men's basketball tonight in the collegiate ranks. Valparaiso hosting the Bruins of Belmont. It's a 6 p.m. tip on ESPN Plus. And at 8 o'clock, as we mentioned earlier, Vanderbilt at Tennessee on SEC Network. Junior college action tonight. Columbia State, 6:30 at the Web, will host the Fisk Junior Varsity. That's going to do it for today's rundown. Mo, the biggest news in Middle Tennessee today has nothing to do with sports. In-N-Out Burgers has announced its Eastern United States headquarters will be located in your hometown of Franklin, Tennessee.
Come on, everything else is.
I mean, why not? Hardee's is headquartered here in Brentwood, and so it's pretty big news for In-N-Out to be on the Eastern Seaboard.
But they're not going to get here till 2026, is my understanding. And
I guess the first restaurant will be at the new Titan Stadium. Then.
Have you had it?
I've had an In-N-Out burger one time.
Do I dare ask?
I will eat a hamburger at Taco Bell before I eat another In-N-Out hamburger. That's all I got to say about that. I'm sorry.
That is not a ringing endorsement.
No, it's not. You saw what they did. You saw what Taco Bell did to hot wings. Imagine what they would do to a burger.
Okay.
So no. I will not be partaking in any In-N-Outs.
No ins or outs.
No, no. Once it went in, it came right back out. And I was not happy about it.
Oh.
That aptly named. I will say this: strawberry shakes, another level. Fantastic. I will drink all of their strawberry shakes. I will go to.
So you will drink all of their strawberry shakes. You will eat none of their burgers.
None, not one. Won't eat a fry. I don't want to hear animal style. I don't want to hear George the Animal Steel. I don't want to hear nothing. No, just no.
Well, again, maybe they'll be better in 4 years.
Okay, so I did what I thought I should do when I my first instinct was I'll just go and get like their version of the Big Mac, right? Their number one, whatever the number one combo is, give me that. But we were in an Uber in Las Vegas, and
So you went through the drive-through in an Uber, or
No.
you went inside?
no, we went inside, but we were in the Uber in Vegas, and I asked the guy, I said, "Do you like In-N-Out?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "What do I order? Tell me, what do I need to order to make my In-N-Out experience worthwhile?"
The best it can be.
And he told me, and that's what I got. And he was wrong.
Well, but maybe he was right.
He said,
Maybe that was making your experience the best it could be.
there you go. Here's the thing. If you are from out west and, you know, some person from out east is going to eat In-N-Out for the first time, do you really want them to love it so much that they're so sad when they get back home and can't get it?
Or maybe, or maybe this is just telling you that the West doesn't have the market cornered on burgers.
No.
Because I don't know if Five Guys compares or if that's just a different.
It's a different
thing
for me. It's just a different world for me. Five Guys to me is like going to. It's the burger version of Olive Garden.
Five Guys.
Yeah. I mean, I like Five Guys. Like, it's a little expensive, and like I'm really not going there unless I just, I got to have Cajun fries. Cajun fries is the only reason I really go to Five Guys.
Okay, so
But
if
Whataburger is the always connected. Those are the two. Is In-N-Out or Whataburger?
Mhm.
I'm a Whataburger guy because they have such a wide variety of burger options.
Mhm.
That's where I'm going to go to Whataburger every time of the two.
Mhm. Interesting.
Sorry.
The Cheesecake Factory of burgers.
That's true. That's what Whataburger.
Okay, now
Whataburger is the Cheesecake Factory because they have so many options.
Here's my thing. I don't have an issue with Olive Garden or Cheesecake Factory. Maybe
No, I don't either.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that we're on the same
No,
wavelength as far as that
I'm
goes.
just saying, like, it's not the best burger you can get, but it's a good mid-range.
It's a good burger,
mid-price
huh?
range burger.
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah,
Good.
it's not to a.
It's not the pharmacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the best burger you can get, but it's a good mid-range price burger.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Okay.
we do have a top story today. To in fact have one, and
it's a pretty good
it
one.
is. It is as the 2023
Mhm.
class of the College Football Hall of Fame was announced, and It is a laundry list
Oh, good
of some of the
Lord.
biggest names in the history of the game.
I mean, if you recognize 3/4 of these names, you call yourself a college football fan? And the answer is no. Excuse me.
I, for one, am just glad to see Reggie Bush. As I was saying
Before you were so rudely
I
interrupted.
was so rudely interrupted.
Hmm?
Hopefully, someone from the Heisman Trust will be at the College Football Hall of Fame ceremony to hand Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy, or someone from Wendy's, one of the two. I don't care who it is.
Speaking of burgers, huh?
Speaking of burgers,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, the rest of this list is still massive.
No doubt. And I mean,
And there
It-
it is
it's-
right there.
it's only because it's alphabetical order, but I feel like it's some kind of way fitting that Eric Berry is at the top of this list.
I love Eric Berry, one of the greatest Tennessee Volunteers of all time.
I mean, when you say VFL,
He's the guy.
he's one of a handful of guys that is top of mind in terms of that term, I think. But Michael Bishop, dude, was a stud. Dwight Freeney, Robert Gallery, LaMichael James. I don't really remember Derek Johnson, the linebacker at Texas from 01 to 04. Certainly don't remember defensive tackle from Montana State, Bill Collar.
What?
Yeah,
How'd you miss that?
yeah, go figure, huh? But Luke Kuechly, Jeremy Macklin, Terrence Mathis, Miami offensive tackle Bryant McKinney, Virginia Tech defensive end Corey Moore, Michael Stonebreaker from Notre Dame, Tim Tebow, Troy Vincent, Brian Westbrook, D'Angelo Williams. Nice to see him recognized as well. Had a heck of a career at Memphis. So, again, I don't recall another college football Hall of Fame class that has the star power that this one does.
You would be hard pressed to find one that, I mean, and then you get to the coaches and it's just like, okay, this makes a lot of sense too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Not real familiar with Monty Cater. Did he coach at the NFL level too, though? I mean, that name sounds kind of familiar.
That's a good question.
No,
He
doesn't look like.
no, he
He was a Lakeland in Wisconsin, I think, and Shepherd in West Virginia. So small college but 245, 93, and 1 at Shepherd, 275, 111, and 2 for his career. That's solid.
Made one Division II championship game in 2015 and lost, unfortunately.
He had been the active wins leader in all levels of college football, I guess, at the time of his retirement. So that's, again, solid. But Monty Cater is joined by a few more recognizable names: Paul Johnson, Roy Kramer, and Mark Richt.
Again, Roy Kramer not likely getting in for his stint at Central Michigan.
I don't think it's his Central Michigan run of 83, 32, and 2 in 11 seasons. Although not bad, I don't think that's the basis for this.
No, he was the mastermind behind the Bowl Coalition, the SEC championship, and all of the things that we know of in college football today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
congratulations to those individuals. They will be recognized.
He did win a national championship at Central Michigan, though, in 74. He finished first in the conference three times and won a Division II national championship in 74. So, yeah, I guess.
Well, nobody's saying he couldn't coach.
No,
I'm just saying.
I don't think that's the full basis.
I don't think that's it in its entirety. The 2023 class will officially be inducted during the 65th National Football Foundation Annual Awards Dinner in Vegas next December. Well, this December 5th, 2023. So
there you go. All right, we're going to take a short break here, Justin. So you guys stick around. Kevin Ingram of Vanderbilt Radio will join us right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat.
She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio, too.
As do we. And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every main street in Middle Tennessee, Coach.
yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
You gotta love it.
like you're moving, I was impressed.
I'm glad someone. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow, Mo Patton here, and we are joined now by Vanderbilt Radio's Kevin Ingram. Kevin, what's up, man?
Doing good. I was looking at the little photo you're using of me in my jacket, and I was trying to figure out where that was, and it hit me that I took that picture. I took a selfie in front of the fence at Old Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. We played at Pitt last season, and that was standing in front of the wall at Forbes Field, which is right there on the Pittsburgh campus. That's such a neat place to visit.
Yeah, it wasn't easy getting that brick wall and ivy from behind you. That picture, I'm not going to lie.
You could have left it in, I guess.
Kevin, we appreciate it, man, as you get prepared for tonight's matchup in Southeastern Conference play with, number 5, Tennessee?
Number 5, yep.
Number 5, Tennessee, at Thompson Bowling Arena. And as we've talked earlier this year, season's been a little bit of a challenge for the Commodores on the hardwood. How do you go in there and give these guys a battle for 40 minutes, do you think?
It's really hard. Tennessee's played great. Certainly the last couple games, they won 4 in a row. They hammered South Carolina 85-42 on Saturday, and they blew out Mississippi State before that. They've won their last 2 SEC games by a combined over 70 points. So It's going to be a tough challenge, but man, you know how these rivalry games go. I mean, you guys get a little extra cranked up for these games. So I expect Vanderbilt to come out and have a good shot here. We played pretty well at Missouri back on Saturday. Guys, I thought did a lot of really good things. Gave up a few too many points in the second half for Jerry Stackhouse's liking of 51 scored by Missouri. Vanderbilt scored 48 in the second half, but it came down, sometimes basketball is as simple as a make or miss game. And it felt like that game was like that for Vanderbilt. A couple of those shots go in, maybe it's a different result. They got some really good looks from three that just didn't fall, some shots around the rim that didn't drop. So, just hoping to clean up a few of those things, get a few more of those shots to go in. But it'll be a tough matchup tonight. Tennessee is not only one of the best teams in the country, they're certainly one of the best defensive teams. You look at the numbers, it's just ridiculous.
And there are no moral victories, obviously, but to go to Como and play the number 20 team, which Missouri, I don't know that they were necessarily expected to be this good, this quick under Dennis Gates, but to go over there and to play them to a one-possession ball game has to be a little bit encouraging.
Yeah, I think it was for sure. Vanderbilt was coming off the overtime win over South Carolina a week ago to start off SEC play. It was a little shaky there in regulation, but played really well in the overtime period and made some free throws and got to the finish line and really played very good defense in the first half. I think, again, I thought there were some things that Jerry Stackhouse wanted to see go better in the second half on the defensive end, but battled them all the way, fell behind by 11, then went on a big run and took the lead. And you're thinking, boy, this could be a really good road victory here to start off 2-0 in the SEC. But Missouri made their free throws. Vanderbilt held them without a bucket the last 4 minutes. But Vanderbilt just, again, you think about looks from three. There was one possession where Jordan Wright had two different three-point looks, and Liam Robbins had one that was open. He had a couple free throws down the stretch. It didn't go in. So, even if just one of those goes a different way, then the last few seconds of the game plays out a different way in terms of how you manage the game. But I think they were encouraged by what happened in Columbia on Saturday. Now you hope to build on it. And what is just a ridiculous stretch of games here in SEC play, 4 straight games against ranked teams. And you're talking about at Missouri, at Tennessee, home for Arkansas on Saturday, and then Tuesday against Alabama at home. So that's that's about as tough a stretch as you're going to see throughout the season here.
And that Alabama game with Cane Ridge freshman Brandon Miller coming back to town, if you're not careful, that turns into a home game for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, you got to think he'll have a lot of supporters there. And Alabama has a good following anytime they play anywhere, certainly in football, but basketball too. They built a winning program down there under Coach Nate Oates. He's done a great job, and they're really fun to watch. I mean, they play an interesting style, if you ask me. It's either right at the rim or it's a three-pointer, and sometimes they pass up a shot right at the rim to go outside and shoot another three. But Miller's having an excellent season his freshman year. This may be the only year he plays for Alabama, but they've done a really great job of that program, and they hammered Kentucky the other day and off to a good start right there with Tennessee at the top of the SEC at 3-0.
This tough stretch here, Kevin, can snowball into just letting this thing get out of hand. How does Vanderbilt, make sure that they take these games, obviously they're going to take these next 4 games as seriously as possible and do their best. But no matter what happens after this stretch is over, they've got to continue playing to a high level, or they find themselves, in a really bad situation come middle of January, early February.
Yeah, Chris, it's tough, no question about it. And I think we were all sort of looking at it when you're moving through the non-conference part of the schedule is, okay, how's this team going to be when you really jump into these SEC games? But yeah, it's a really tough stretch right here. And yeah, you hope you can, stay above water. It's hard to do in this league. There's so many good teams, and you just look up and down, and the top teams are the top teams, but the rest of the league is really good too. And we're going to see a Georgia team a week from Saturday on the road, and that won't be an easy game either. They've had a nice win or two so far, and you got so many new coaches in the SEC and just new situations for a lot of coaches and players and teams that look completely different than they did last season. So, this first month you got, I think, 9 games, and 5 of them are on the road. So try to do the best you can and get out here and hopefully win some ball games here.
Yeah, Georgia particularly, Mo. we're not used to seeing Georgia with a winning record coming into SEC play, and they've certainly turned that program around over the last couple of years. So that's even not an easy game. And then of course you get Kentucky, and obviously they're on the downside, but geez, man, my goodness.
Yeah, we don't have to tell the Bowling Green native Kevin Ingram about this Kentucky team, but particularly this team with John Calipari on the ropes. I mean,
or headed to Texas.
Yep.
One of the two.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's no soft landings for Vanderbilt, certainly in this portion of the schedule right here, Kevin.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, that Kentucky situation is really interesting with Calipari. The fans are as unhappy with him as they have been at any point during his tenure in Lexington. I think for this Vanderbilt team, it's an interestingly constructed team. And you're really seeing the emergence of Ezra Magnon, the point guard. He scored in double figures in 5 straight games. And when he's able to drive and get to the basket and either distribute or maybe hit a short jumper or whatever, he just totally makes a difference in this team. He and Liam Robbins have been a really nice connection over these last few games. You're also starting to see one of the young players, Noah Shelby. He's a freshman from McKinney, Texas. And he is a sharpshooter, man. He can shoot some 3-pointers, and you're starting to see more of those go up and go in off the hand of number 2. So look for him, I think, to be more of a factor as this second half of the season goes along. This is about the midpoint in the season overall. I know it's early in conference play. Really been impressed with the freshman Colin Smith as well, another guy from Texas. He's been in the starting lineup the last few games, just a long dude, really athletic. I've seen him hit some threes. So I like the way some of these young players are starting to look. Jordan Wright is the veteran in this group. I talked to him earlier, and he was talking about how this is another opportunity for him to finally score a win over Tennessee. That's something he hasn't been able to accomplish during the course of his Vanderbilt career. And he's a guy who's been around here. He's a senior, averaging double figures. He's given this team a nice lift and played really well in the second halves of games. And one of those guys who you count on, especially when you get into a stretch of a game, to make a play or two or make a big defensive play. We've seen that more than once this season, where he's gotten a key steal and maybe hit a couple of free throws or a big shot down the stretch. So this team, you got quite a few older players, and you got a lot of really young guys. Not a whole lot in the terms of like sophomores and juniors on this team. So it's interesting the way it's put together. But you got some big guys. Tennessee has some big guys that I think are going to make it challenging for Liam Robbins and Quentin Malore-Brown down low. So, yeah, this will be a tough matchup for Vanderbilt tonight.
Kevin Ingram of Vanderbilt Radio joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And, Kevin, as you talk about the makeup of this Vanderbilt team, some older guys, some really younger guys, and a lot of those younger guys are seeing a lot of time. Does that kind of create some encouragement past this year, or is the Commodore fan base going to even allow that to be a factor? I know that the program has struggled to a point that wait till next year may be kind of falling on deaf ears a little bit.
Yeah, this is a recruiting class that's really highly touted coming in. They had high hopes. There's 6 or 7 freshmen on this squad, I think 7 total, counting a walk-on or 2. But they had big expectations with this group. I mean, I think you could watch the preseason practices and tell that Colin Smith was going to be a factor pretty early on. Noah Shelby had been out for a little bit, or just really hadn't played a whole lot in the first half of the season, and now it seems like he's becoming more of a factor. They really like the point guard, Paul Lewis. He's from Woodbridge, Virginia. He's played in, say, a half dozen games. He had been out some, too, with an illness. I'll be interested to see what happens with guys like Malik Dia and Lee Dort. 2 big bodies. Malik can shoot the 3. Lee is a guy who can just go get you some rebounds and play good interior defense, maybe knock down a shot or 2. So I'll be interested to see how those 2 in particular progress and what kind of playing time they get as we head down the stretch run of the season. But yeah, the expectations of this freshman class are pretty high coming in, and you needed the freshman class to be good, given what all Vanderbilt lost, especially with the loss of Scottie Pippen Jr. from last season. He's been so much to replace, and I think it was even harder than maybe I expected coming into this season. 20 points per game is 20 points per game, and that's hard to replace with one guy or a couple players or however you're trying to make that happen. And his ability to manufacture points really served this team well last season. But yeah, those young dudes are coming along, and encouraged about what we've seen, at least from a couple of them here recently, and probably more. I would think more playing time for some of the others as we move toward the finish line of the season here.
I saw Malik Dia in an All-Star game last March, I guess, over in Lebanon, and he looks SEC ready for sure, certainly from a physical standpoint. So like you said, I'd be interested to see what kind of playing time and what kind of results you see out of him here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, Mo, he had played quite a bit earlier in the season. He's been in 10 games this year, and he's hit 6 threes. You'll see him for a few minutes here and there, and then some games you won't see him at all. I do like his skill set. He can shoot threes. He has a very high arcing three-pointer. I'm sure you probably remember that from seeing him play. But you're right. I mean, the body type definitely does look SEC ready. In fact, he looks like a guy who might be able to play on that defensive line over for Clark Lee. Get a few edge rushes, but yeah, I think he's a pretty impressive player, and we'll see if his playing time increases in the final half of the season.
Kevin, you mentioned it earlier. Tennessee is one of the best defensive teams in the country, and one of the reasons that they are is because they contest every shot. They also have a lot of those big bodies that you have to navigate your way through. Vanderbilt shoots about 44% from the floor. They're going to have to be around that number to have a chance tonight, and they're also going to have to keep Tennessee around that number. Do you feel like that's something that they can accomplish, or is this Tennessee defense going to be a bigger struggle than maybe Vanderbilt thinks they can be?
I think everybody has a pretty good idea of what Tennessee is, going to pose in terms of a defensive challenge. But I think you're right. I think if Vanderbilt could, see that shooting percentage up in the 40s somewhere, you certainly like your chances better than what some of the last couple opponents have done against the Volunteers. It's pretty remarkable when you look at what Tennessee's doing defensively, holding opponents to 33% from the field and 20% from three. Opponents only scored or hit 4 3-pointers per game against Tennessee on average on the season. So, they really get out and guard the ball. And as you mentioned, they have those big bodies inside. And, whether it's Popchich or Jonas Adu or, you see a couple other dudes. I really like Olivier Kamwa. I think he's for them last year, they went on to have a good season, but after he got hurt in that South Carolina game last year, it felt like that was a missing piece for them. And I think he's a really nice player. And they just seem like they've put it all together. And this may be the best team that Rick Barnes has had since he's been there. And talking to some of the folks this morning, Jerry Stackhouse and some others around the Vanderbilt program, they kind of said the same thing, that they thought this was the toughest team that they faced in terms of Tennessee since Vanderbilt has had this particular coaching staff. But it'll be a big challenge, especially on Tennessee's court, where they haven't lost in a couple seasons. And so, yeah, you just we'll toss it up there a little after 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern, and see how it goes.
There you go. Kevin Ingram of Vanderbilt Radio at Kingram Sports. Kingram. That's the best way to put just Kingram Sports.
It's an easy way to remember it.
Go follow it. We appreciate your time as always, man.
Hey, anytime. Always glad to do it. Want to say congratulations to Mo. You guys are going over those college football Hall of Famers. They have something in common with Mo. They're all Hall of Famers. I thought that was fantastic. You got that honor. Really happy for you.
Well, I appreciate it, but I think that just goes to show you not all halls of fame are created equally. So, but I do appreciate you saying that, Kevin. Thank you. And
Hall of Fame's a Hall of Fame, though, man. You can sign when you sign your 8x10 glosses, you can put HOF 23.
That's right.
I'll be sure and do that. Oh, goodness. Kevin, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks. Anytime.
All right.
All right. We'll take a break here. When we come back, let's talk a little Titans. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Titans.
It's a good day.
Firings. All of that. Right here. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. Main Street Sports today. It was such a good day, Mo, for the Tennessee Titans that I wore
Your two-tone blue.
my two-tone blue, as well as
Oh, Lord.
my Tennessee Titans shoes.
Justin,
Yes.
we had this guy almost undress himself a few weeks ago. Now he's taking his shoes off in the studio.
Making myself
what?
comfortable.
Yep. Yeah, make yourself at home, bro.
This is my home.
Where do you get shoes at? I didn't even know you could get the shoes. That's cool.
It's a really awesome shoe. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of the reasons I bought this particular shirt, Mo, was so that I could wear these shoes with it.
Because you got to coordinate,
You gotta
as
coordinate.
the late great John Witherspoon would say.
Exactly.
My mind immediately went to that too, though, Mo. Whenever you started talking, I was like, please, all right, we see what you're wearing. Don't take it off.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Got the two-tone blue, got the shoes, because it's a good
You're
day to be a
so-
Titan fan.
You know, in all seriousness,
This is the biggest win for the Titans since Thanksgiving.
we've lost
yeah.
jobs.
We have.
And so,
I wasn't getting paid.
no,
He was getting paid to do his
no,
job, but
no.
yes.
But I mean, I find myself a little bit caught betwixt and between because I mean, and all BS aside, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily want to celebrate somebody losing their job, but at the same time, it's a performance-based industry that Todd Downing found himself in. And I don't know that you could argue that he was performing well enough to retain his job.
That's correct.
So,
I mean, look, I have been in performance-based jobs that I didn't keep. And I knew damn well that
it wasn't based on your performance or lack thereof.
Well, there's been times that, yeah, I didn't perform.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was coming.
And he should have.
And so, look, that's just kind of where I'm at. Like, I mean, look, I don't. Todd Downing, very well, maybe a great football coach, but he's not a very good offensive coordinator. He's had 2 opportunities to show it. He's failed fairly miserably in both of those opportunities. He's just not a good offense. And there are some people who can be head coaches, and there are some people who can't be head coaches. There are some people who can be coordinators. There are some people who can't. It just there is a ceiling for football coaches. And Todd Downing's ceiling is somewhere lower than offensive coordinator.
And the thing is, I mean, there are and there have been Exhibit A, Exhibit B, that kind of thing. There have been situations that you could point to directly and say, this isn't something that an NFL offensive coordinator should do. You know, we talked about the fumble / incomplete pass by Josh Dobbs in that game against Jacksonville the other night. And a very fair question is, why were we even throwing in that situation?
That's the question.
And that's your offensive play caller right there. And there have been a number of situations like that have not been, you know, well, the play just didn't work out. It was why was that play even called? A lot of them.
A lot. And, you know, it's like you said, Mo, and you know, there are some times that some coaches don't necessarily deserve to lose their job.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those times.
Well, not for Todd Downing.
For Todd Downing.
No.
There are a couple of guys who found themselves without a job yesterday that I don't know that they necessarily deserve.
I don't know that I understand why Keith Carter or Anthony Midget were dismissed alongside Todd Downing. Keith Carter was the offensive line coach of the Titans. Anthony Midget was the defensive secondary coach. Offensive skill assistant Eric Frazier was also dismissed. And again, I don't know what Keith Carter or Anthony Midget were supposed to do any differently than what they did based on what they had to work with. I mean, those were two of the most beleaguered groups on the Titans roster in terms of injury and unavailability and that kind of thing. And, you know, when you talk about Amani Hooker, when you talk about when you talk about Amani Hooker, when you talk about Caleb Farley, when you talk about some of the people that weren't available or weren't performing when they were available,
Roger McCreary
in that defensive secondary, and all of the injuries to the offensive line and all of the reshuffling that you had to do. I mean, this last couple of games, you know, against Dallas and against Jacksonville, I thought the offensive line, with the same exception that we've seen all year, I thought that offensive line held up relatively well under the circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, certainly could have been worse a number of times. And yes, the offensive line and the secondary struggled, but I don't know that it was a lack of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't.
Now, I am going to defer to Mike Vrabel. I mean, clearly he sees things that we don't see.
Sure.
But
that one, those two certainly make you question a little bit. But hey, you know, again, it's the NFL. We all know what it stands for. The no fun league. I mean, not for long.
Not for long.
And that's where Mike Vrabel has to make his decision. And, you know, the new GM is going to have to do a lot of work to set the next guys up for success, whomever it may be. In the offensive coordinator spot, a lot of folks pointing toward passing game coordinator Tim Kelly and promoting from within. I'm just not sure that makes a whole lot of sense, Mo.
I think it's a name that a lot of people are familiar with, but I think maybe, and it'll be interesting, and I really think the hire will tell you a lot about Mike Vrabel and where he is. I mean, is he willing to go out of the box? Is he willing to entertain some new ideas? Is he willing to be challenged a little bit in terms of his coaching philosophy? Or does he want to go with somebody that he feels a little bit more familiar with, that their thinking is aligned, that, you're not going to do a whole lot differently than what you've already done? And I think you have to be careful with that, because the old saying is, if you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done, right?
It's correct.
And it might be time for the Titans to at least tweak their offensive philosophy a little bit. And you're talking about a team that has, lost its last 3 playoff games now?
Yes.
And has now lost its last 7 games, period. Now, clearly, a lot of that has to do with the roster, with the injuries, with a lot of things that may have been beyond their control. But at the same time, maybe you just kind of need some fresh thinking about a few things. I'm not saying somebody needs to come in here and go 4 wides and empty and that kind of thing. I think there are some.
So no Cliff Kingsbury?
Why is that a name other than he's available? What does Cliff Kingsbury do that involves? What does Cliff Kingsbury do that involves a NFL rushing leader?
He's never had one, so we don't know. I'm just saying that's why.
No, I'm not.
Cliff Kingsbury. That's why I'm saying no.
I don't think so. I mean, do you think he's a fit here?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's what you said. You said you're not saying they need to go 4 wide.
No. So no Cliff. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say this,
Mm-hmm.
and y'all can
We
laugh
will.
at me if you want to.
We will.
Bill O'Brien would not be a bad hire.
Man, have you seen that meme? Boo this man. Boo.
I think the same thing about Tim Kelly, and I feel horrible about it.
Say what?
I feel the same thing about I feel the same thing about Tim Kelly, how he wouldn't be a bad fit, and I don't feel good about it.
I mean, Tim probably wouldn't be a bad fit, but you can't tell me that at no point during the season Mike Vrabel didn't go to Tim Kelly and say, "Hey, can you help us?"
And Tim Kelly probably looked at him and said, "Dude, you got an OC."
Yeah, I was going to do just as good as him.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like maybe you need some fresh eyes on this situation to try to get the best out of Ryan Tannehill, because he's coming back.
He should come.
Oh, he's so coming back.
He should. Ryan Tannehill,
Josh Dobbs,
Derrick Henry, Traylon Burks,
Chigokonkwo.
That's a pretty good skill set. You get yourself another wide receiver that gives you an actual option. Kyle Phillips may be that guy.
Well, apparently, and I've not seen the video or the articles, but I saw an excerpt, I guess, from an interview with Mike Vrabel during locker cleanout day. And he said, we need to be faster.
You got Racey McMath. How much faster can you be? I know he's 5'2".
But you also got to be able to catch the ball, or it doesn't matter how fast you are. But, I mean, my point is, we've talked for the last 2 years about the lack of separation that our receiving core has been able to create.
Well, and part of that is because of the Mike Vrabel mentality. The type of receivers that we were going to get were the big guys that aren't afraid to go over the middle. We weren't going to get
the big guys that can block as well.
We weren't going out and trying to get guys who can take the top off.
But I mean, separation isn't just in downfield patterns, though. I mean, separation is in your slants and in your crossing patterns and that kind of thing as well. I mean, you got to provide some kind of a window for a quarterback to be able to throw into.
This is one reason that I don't like Tim Kelly, is because more times The interception that Josh Dobbs threw against Dallas was a passing. It was a route combination fault. The outside receiver ran a curl route while the inside slot guy was running an out route, and the guy come off of the curl, stepped in front of the out route, and picked it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. You can't run a curl and an out. It's not how it works. You're putting two defenders in the same area, and that's going to create a problem. That's one reason that we don't have good separations, because our route combinations are bad. And two, you don't have a route runner, which again, this is why Kyle Phillips, I think, can be a big part of this offense as a receiver, because he is so good at running routes. You have to have guys who run precise routes so that maybe he's not the guy getting open, but he's not going to be in the way of the other guy who did get open. And that's why it's so important to have precise guys. Look, I don't know that there are any receivers right now. If you were drafting a wide receiver in the first round, say there are no offensive tackles available, who would you draft?
I have no idea. And I've just not paid that much attention to college football in those terms to have a feel for who your top receivers are and who's a good fit here.
I mean,
but I don't know.
Is Jalen Hyatt an option? Is he going to make it to you in the second round?
I don't know that he's going to make it to you in the second round, and I don't know if you should take him in the first.
Can't take him at 11.
And I don't think the Titans cannot pick at 11. I don't think they can trade back from there.
I think the number 6 receiver in the draft, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But his style, his speed makes him important, or makes him an option. I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Looks, they've got him going 21.
21. According to CBS Sports, TCU's Quentin Johnson will be the first receiver off the board at number 9 to Carolina.
Yeah. I think
followed by Jackson Smith Njigba at 15 to Green Bay out of Ohio State. And then, and again, CBS.com has Jalen Hyatt going at 25 to Dallas as the third receiver. 3 receivers in the first round. Wait a minute. Okay, that's Ryan Wilson.
The 56th ranked prospect on CBSSports.com is Jalen Hyatt.
Okay. Okay, again, so that was Ryan Trapasso. I thought this was CBS's composite. Chris Trapasso has Quentin Johnson going at 4 to Arizona. Jordan Addison going at 12 to USC.
Arizona's not picking 4th. So that
maybe he's projecting a trade then.
Perhaps, but
well, so he's got Bryce Young going at 1 to the Texans. So he's got some trades.
Either that or it must have been a couple of weeks ago. This may not be.
Well, no, because the first Trapasso has not updated his mock since January 5th. Ryan Wilson updated his yesterday. So
that makes more sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to me, you can't take a wide receiver in the first round if a tackle is available. If a tackle is not available, then you kind of got to think about it because there's no other options.
Corner?
Maybe.
But to your point, Aren't those the top three positions probably?
Yeah,
Offensive tackle, receiver, and corner
in that order.
in that order.
Because I think you're expecting, and I know you're expecting this defensive secondary to be healthy. You're expecting everybody to be healthy. Not going to happen. I don't know, man. I don't know what
Again,
the Titans should do. I don't know if they can trade back and get a guy who maybe is a little more proven, maybe an older tackle who's on his last. Because again, if you can get 3 years out of a guy and get you to 26, I think you would feel better about your situation.
Ryan Wilson has the Titans taking Jordan Addison at number 11.
I saw that, and I guess
3 picks ahead of, and this will not happen, but
Skoronski.
No. Broderick Jones out of Georgia.
Yeah, he's not. If he's available, he's a Titan.
Can the Titans take another offensive tackle from Georgia?
Be hard not to. I mean, this is not like Isaiah Wilson was a reach.
In more ways than one.
I mean, talent-wise, he was a reach. He was projected a 3rd rounder.
Again, this mock has Paris Johnson from Ohio State going at 10. So, I mean, I wonder if the draft is going and the Titans feel like they have a shot at Paris Johnson if they try to jump up.
Maybe.
But it's going to be interesting. And again, the new GM is going to have clearly plenty to do with that. And the philosophy is going to have plenty to do with that. But I can't imagine anything that doesn't scream, offensive tackle.
I'm interested, 1, in who the GM hire is, 2, who's the offensive coordinator, and that I think is what's going to tell you where they're going to go in the draft. So those 2 questions have to be answered well before we talk about where the Titans go in a draft.
Mm-hmm.
Although we do think that tackle, wide receiver, and cornerback are the 3 positions that need to be taken care of more quickly than others. That and sign Jeffrey Simmons. A radio personality based in Nashville who will not be named on this on these airwaves suggested the Tennessee Titans trade Jeffrey Simmons and a couple of other things to the Chicago Bears for the number 1 pick to choose Bryce Young. And I think that is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard, because the Titans don't need a quarterback. A quarterback is not going to solve the Titans' problems.
That's it. And this is going to sound like blasphemy, and I'll preface this by saying that I've got my concerns about Bryce Young in the National Football League.
It's hard for me to say. I mean, I know his frame is small, but so is Kyler Murray.
And where is he right now?
So is Patrick Mahomes.
No, I think Patrick Mahomes is bigger than Kyler Murray, but is Kyler Murray not recovering from an injury right now?
Yeah, but it's a knee injury. I mean, hell, that could happen to anybody.
It can happen
so is
to
Ryan
anybody.
Tannehill.
It happens
Ryan Tannehill's 6'3". So, I mean, I have my concerns with Bryce Young, but I think C.J. Stroud is the best of the 3 quarterbacks that we keep hearing about.
I would agree with that, and I think Bryce Young is second, and I think the third one is not close.
It's not even. And nor is the 4th one or the 5th one.
Bryce Young is listed at 6 foot.
Well, he's not.
which means he's 5'10".
Well,
at
24/7 has him listed at 5'11" out of high school. I don't think he gained it.
Maybe 2-3 years in that Alabama system stretched him out.
They probably did that thing that Barney Fife did, where they hooked him up to that thing around his neck and made him hang there for a little while to stretch him out.
There you go.
That's what they did to him. I got nothing. Anyway, we need to take a break. Oh. National Championship AP poll reaction. It's not going to be good. It's the same reaction we just had. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this.
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Last night's national championship game was a dud, to say the least. Now, we all thought that Texas Christian would cover 13.5 points. And if I'm asking you guys, I know why I picked that, but what was it about going into that game that made you feel like that was possible?
Go ahead, Mo.
I felt like their performance against Michigan and their ability to stay in and ultimately win that game, hold up against Michigan, run past Michigan on a lot of instances. But, you know, looking back at this point, I just think it was fool's gold. I just think Georgia was that much better than everybody. I'm looking at a graphic here by at Big Game Boomer on Twitter. He's got final 2022 season tiers, and Georgia is tier 1.
Yeah, that's so good.
And I think that's pretty much what we saw this year. I just think Georgia was better than everybody.
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 Yeah.
And then his tier 2 is Michigan, Texas Christian, Ohio State, Tulane, Tennessee, Alabama, Penn State, and Florida State. I'm not sure necessarily that Tulane, Penn State, and Florida State, maybe there's a tier 2 and a tier 2A, and maybe those 3 are 2A. But I think Michigan, Ohio State, Texas Christian, Tennessee, Alabama, I think you could throw them in a bag and draw them out any kind of way and justify it.
Right. I just
and that's considering the head-to-heads between Michigan, TCU, between Michigan, Ohio State, between Tennessee, Alabama. I just feel like those 5 teams are really, and to be fair, that's your top 6 in the AP poll, finally. But I don't know. Like I said, the way TCU ran past Michigan in the semifinal game made me feel like maybe they could stay in there with Georgia. Now, I don't know what y'all's.
Basically the same thing. I got guilty of riding the bandwagon. You get caught up. I think they had a bad game. Obviously, TCU. I don't think that they played as well as they think they could have against the team. I think they had a bad day as well as being matched up against.
Well, they had a bad day because of Georgia, but yeah.
Right. Well, like once they got hit in the mouth, they just could not like get their feet out from under them. Which again probably is a testament to Kirby.
Georgia.
Exactly. So, I just bought into it. Like you said, we beat Michigan. I was all over it. I was wrong.
That's so wrong.
Well,
so wrong.
And this exact tweet that I talked about earlier, Mo, was TCU dominated Michigan for the most part. I mean, almost the entire game. It was a pretty dominant performance. Now, they did have to hang on to win, but, I mean, they pretty well dominated Michigan, especially in the first three quarters. Mm-hmm. Michigan dominated Ohio State. There was never any question that Ohio State or that Michigan was going to win that game from kick to final zeros.
From post to wire.
I mean, it was a Michigan win. So when Georgia and Ohio State played a 1-point game, you had to think, crap, TCU's got a shot.
If then.
But what we learned is that the argument of 12-game bodies of work is the biggest crock of crap in the history of sports.
Visibly, it was just not the case.
And the fact that college football, up until this point and into next year, will basically be decided, the national champion is decided based on how well you perform in your geographical region, is a little ridiculous. And head-to-head is the only thing that matters in determining who's the better team.
But
don't tell that to AP voters.
Well, don't tell it to a lot of folks because, I mean, again, everybody wants to invalidate 52-49 on the third Saturday in October because of where it was played and how close it was. Never mind that not only did Tennessee beat Alabama, but Tennessee also beat the other team that beat Alabama. But because they lost by 25 in Columbia, South Carolina, in a game that saw them lose their starting quarterback, Alabama didn't play South Carolina. Alabama didn't play the other team that beat Tennessee. Tennessee beat Alabama, and Tennessee beat the team that beat Alabama, but Alabama's better than Tennessee. So, again, while head-to-head seems to make sense to a lot of us, it doesn't make sense to all of us, apparently, and I don't know why.
My biggest concern with rankings in general and how we determine the most deserving teams versus the best teams, blah, blah, blah. The fact that TCU is playing in the national championship clearly proves that they belonged in the conversation. They didn't get beat 65-7 in the semifinals by Michigan. But if Clemson doesn't lose to South Carolina, Clemson's the number 3 team in the country, and we get 65-7 in the semifinals. And Clemson, oh, by the way, got absolutely boat raced by Tennessee's JV. And by all accounts, one of the worst defenses in the country. And that was going to be the third best team based off of their 12-game body of work in the Atlantic Coast Conference. This season, to me, is the best possible argument for a 12-team playoff in the history of football. And I, for one, can't wait to see that, number 1 versus number 6 and number 3 versus number 8 semifinal.
Well, of course, Captain Chaos, but I don't disagree with you.
What happens first in a 12-team playoff? 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3,
Or
3 SEC teams in the semifinals? Which of those two things happens first?
Chalk or 3 SEC teams?
The answer is 3 SEC teams.
The answer is 3 SEC
You
teams.
just didn't want to say it.
No, I really didn't. I really didn't, because I know
biased.
I know so many people don't want to hear it, but
That's the answer.
it really is. And I mean,
You can't sit here and tell me that if we had a 12-team playoff this year, that Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama would not have been in the Final Four.
well, the X factor again is Tennessee with Joe Milton.
We saw what Joe Milton did against Clemson.
Where are the final regular season or the CFP rankings after the conference championship games?
The final CFP rankings? Oh, I had them in the thing, but I took them out.
Okay, I think I may have them here.
Okay.
Georgia, Michigan, TCU, Ohio State were your top 4. Alabama was 5, Tennessee was 6, Clemson was 7, Utah, Kansas State, USC, Penn State, and Washington. So
You got to take one of those out and put Tulane in. Highest ranked G5.
okay, so where do they go? Do they go in at 12?
I don't know how that's going to work, but probably is where they would have been at 12 at some point.
Okay, so what you're saying is you would have had Alabama, Tulane. You would have had no Washington, right? Under that.
Correct. No
Okay.
Washington.
You'd have had Tennessee, Penn State. You'd have had Clemson, USC. You'd have had Utah, K-State. Right?
No.
Okay.
The bracket would have been Tennessee, Kansas State.
What are you looking at?
This is what the bracket would have been.
No.
It's from SN Sports Nation something. I don't know. But the top 4 teams are not the top 4 teams because the top 4 get a bye, but they're the top 4 highest rated college football conference champions. So Clemson would have gotten a bye. Michigan got a bye. Utah gets a bye. Georgia gets a bye.
Oh, so TCU and Ohio State aren't in the top 4 then?
Correct.
Okay.
So Ohio State had to play Penn State.
Ooh.
Alabama had to play USC.
That would have been a whale of a ball game.
TCU, Tulane to play Utah, and Tennessee, Kansas State to play Georgia.
So you would not have necessarily had 3 SEC teams in the Final Four.
You couldn't have because there's Tennessee and Georgia would have played one another, and Alabama would have been on the other side of the bracket.
Right.
But if Tennessee, say, was the 6th instead of Ohio State so that they don't get Ohio State, Penn State rematch, say that's how they manipulate the bracket, then you could potentially have Alabama, Tennessee in the semifinals and Georgia, Utah, TCU, Tulane, one of those 3 in the semis. And to me, Tennessee beats Penn State. They obviously would have beaten Clemson. I think Alabama beats USC. Hell, Tulane did. And then Michigan. Are you kidding me?
Right.
It would have been Georgia versus one of those 3, Alabama, Tennessee, this year. It would have happened this year.
And nobody wants that.
Nope. But that's what it would have looked like, and that's what would have happened. So, before we get out of here, AP poll, Tennessee ends up 6th behind Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Because, of course.
Well, because of one person. You
That
like
close?
to guess?
Was it that close?
It was 2 points.
I'm looking at 1303 and 1294. So 9 points.
Maybe so. Okay. Well, that being said, Mike Berardino has Tennessee outside the top 7. Behind
That's
Washington.
the guy from the South Bend paper that we've had issues with all year, right?
Has Alabama number 2.
Has Alabama 2 and Tennessee 8th?
Which is the reason that Tennessee was ranked behind Alabama. Despite, now I will say this, Joe Wilner, who covers the Pac-12 for San Jose Mercury News, has Tennessee number 2 and Alabama at 7. I don't know.
Which is equally,
as egregious.
Yeah. I mean, it's only slightly less egregious, but it's.
Idaho statesman Ron Counts has Penn State at 5, with Alabama and Tennessee at 6 and 7. I don't know what. Go back to Berardino's poll for a second.
Okay,
sure. Let's force me to look at this crap.
1 through 7, what's he got?
Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, Penn State, Washington, Tennessee, LSU, Utah.
That's fine. Penn State, Washington ahead of UT. Okay.
I mean, if you think Alabama and Georgia are the 2 best teams in the country.
Again, I feel like behind Georgia, TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee. Flip a coin.
I don't know, man. I think TCU just got lucky against Michigan. I think Michigan was overlooking them. I think I'm telling you, they play 100 times. Michigan wins that game 95. I don't think TCU belonged. I think we saw last night. I know Georgia is great, but Georgia barely beat Missouri. Georgia, they had a couple of games where they probably shouldn't have. They could have slipped.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But not in the big ones. Yeah.
So, I mean, Georgia's clearly the best team by far and away. But
you think better than the LSU year with Burrow?
Oh, no, just this year. No, I think that LSU team.
Me too.
Second best college football team of all time. 0-1
Miami.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the best one. Outside of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We need to get top 5.
We do, and it's ridiculous that that Tennessee is behind Alabama, but that's neither here nor there at this point. I don't really care. It is what it is.
Well, it's ridiculous, but at the same time, if anybody had told you that we were going to be having this argument in July and August,
I would like to give Reese Davis his props, though. He was on Tennessee over Alabama all year long, and at the end of the day, Tennessee 4, Alabama 5, TCU 6.
Alabama graduate Reese Davis, so he probably took a little heat for that. Good for him.
All right, let's take a quick break here. We got one commercial we've got to play, and then we'll get back. Top 5 chocolate. Just chocolate products, whatever they are.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Going to be 100% honest with you guys. I have no idea who won last week's poll, but I'm going to get to it really quickly here.
It wasn't me, I don't think.
What was last week's poll?
Mo won.
Hey,
Justin was second. Chris was first.
What was it again?
Wait.
Bowl games, championship, impact.
No, yeah.
Well, I just voted because I needed to see the results. I voted for myself.
You said
which tied me with you, Justin.
Oh.
So clearly you were winning before that last vote.
That's very it's a lot of integrity right there to say.
Yeah, just so you know. Okay.
So you get to pick first.
I get to pick first, and I'm going chocolate chip cookies.
So we can be anything. It can just be something.
Anything chocolate.
All right. My turn then?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm going to go with a fast break, which is peanut butter and chocolate.
Oh, Reese's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a version of that, yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going chocolate cake.
Nice.
Okay. Back to me. Chocolate milk.
Oh, that's a solid one. I'm going to go, all I think about is candy. Twix, man. Twix is just with caramel.
You sound like you like the other thing.
What?
He's picking the thing that has chocolate in it, but it's based on the other thing with the chocolate, the caramel and the peanut butter, and
that's okay. It's chocolate though.
I mean, I get it. I'm just saying, like that's his
chocolate and something else.
He's got to have the other thing.
I don't have a problem with it. My number 2 is ice cream.
Ice cream.
I'm keeping it simple over here.
Get some votes right there.
I'm gonna go with fudge.
Okay.
Just like a fudge brownie.
Yeah. Okay. Justin,
I'm gonna go with throwing it back. Chocolate pudding, man. Best kind of pudding. Huh? Pudding?
I'm gonna continue.
Not a big fan of chocolate pudding.
I'm not a big fan of pudding, regardless of
Oh,
it's a texture thing.
I feel you. Okay.
Chocolate pie.
Ooh. I'm about to pick off chocolate chess pie.
Oh.
Ooh.
I just made you mad. He's so mad right now. He's trying to hold it in because that's his favorite pie.
I'm good. I'm good. Because I could go you one better and wouldn't have to worry with an argument from you. But Justin, you're number 4, I guess.
As the basic one in the group, I'll go chocolate milkshake.
Okay.
Is that one okay, guys? Is that cool? Can I be in your?
That's solid.
Yeah. Hey, it's in between ice cream and milk.
Which we've covered both of those.
That's right. You're right in the middle. Just like you
them.
got the number 2 pick, so it works out.
Hey, silver ain't bad.
Okay, so my number 4, and like I said, I'm not worried about an argument from you on this one.
Pecan.
Chocolate pecan pie.
Chocolate pecan.
It's pecans, yo.
Now I'm in a pickle in a bind because I don't really know what's number 5 going to be. I'm going to go with chocolate truffles.
Oh, dude, you took it. What a sleeper! You just took it right out of my mouth. I literally was about to say that. Man, that's a good
Look how Justin rocking the sweater vest.
Oh, this one.
Oh, this is the quarter zip sweater vest.
Yeah,
like
the short sleeve.
that's solid.
All right. What's your number 4?
Channeling his inner Mike Vrabel.
every week I try to. I'm gonna go with my last pick. The Lindor chocolates. Is that a truffle? Because it's a truffle. Okay. Well, then I'll go Hershey's Bar Classic. Get me out of here.
That is a classic. That's a solid pick.
Thank you.
Okay. With my final pick, I will take chocolate turtles.
Ooh. I don't, I'm not a big
You're
nuts
not a
guy,
pecan
so
guy.
that's a good one, though. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
I'm not either, but sometimes
All right.
when they're just right.
That's your top 5 brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, Stylist Still, and the fine folks at Mid-South 5 Fitness keeping you in shape.
After you eat all this chocolate.
After you eat all this chocolate, you're going to need to go see Dallas at one of his great locations, either here in Columbia or in Franklin. Go check him out. Check us out tomorrow, 2:00. We'll have Chip Walters.
We will have Chip Walters. We will also have Skip Nipper of the Nashville Old Timers Baseball Association to talk about their upcoming banquet and their guest speaker, one of our favorites, @2sportsman on Twitter.
Hey, The name Skip Nipper, that's just a heck of a name.
Mhm.
I would just like to throw that out.
Yeah, it's baseball AF.
That's a fantastic. It really is. It's an old time baseball name.
Well, he is pretty much a Nashville baseball historian supreme. So there's a lot of things we can get into with him, but
Well, we got to go though. We'll
Bye.
see y'all later.